Welcome to Sunday Assembly. My name's Tony, sitting in for Louise this week. And remembering the recording, I'll say it twice and then I've got one in the bank. We will be recording the poet and the singer today, the guest speaker stroke singer. So we have a particular philosophy here at Sunday Assembly, which is live better, help often, and wonder more. And to echo what Lynn just said, I think music helps us to do that, doesn't it? Anytime, any place, but certainly during the lockdown, when a lot of us have been stuck staring at the same four walls for so long. I think music helps you to live better, whether it's just enjoying the sounds, the lyrics, or dancing around your living room, which God knows I've been doing. Helps often. During the lockdown, music was an incredibly important help to all of us. And Wondermore, I discovered lots of new artists. I asked for recommendations during the lockdown and discovered lots of music that I'd never listened to before. And at the start of the lockdown, we'll all remember how scary it was, and we'd never been there before, and we didn't quite know what to anticipate. And one of the worst things for me, everything was shut, and the sound quality on my laptop was absolutely terrible. So I wasn't really enjoying listening to much music. But my son, who'd been living with me until about 4 or 5 months before, reminded me that there was a speaker in one of the drawers in one of the spare rooms, and I actually found it and cranked it up. And suddenly, life became so much better because I had access to music. And in that way, I started a music group with a couple of friends, and we went through album after album. We've listened to the Beastie Boys, Buzzcocks, the Skids, Frank Zappa, all sorts of stuff, and going through it track by track and talking about the music. So music has been incredibly important to me. And one of the things that's been so important is live streaming. And I guess today, live stream many, many times at festivals and solo things. Other friends, other people who've done Sunday Assembly over the last year, people like Jess Silk, who's here today, and Joe Solo. It's been absolutely wonderful to be able to stay in contact with these people, listen to the music, make comments in the various chat boxes. So music has been absolutely essential to me during the lockdown, but so has poetry. And my friends Andy and Jeff, who are here today, have been streaming live poetry events, and it's been wonderful to keep in contact with them and listen to people still being creative. And the great thing about online poetry is you get to meet people from different parts of the country that you might not have met if it had just been a case of walking into pubs and clubs in the Greater Manchester area. And we had a poet called Louise Spektor from Wigan a few months ago, and she absolutely thoroughly enjoyed doing it, doing a Sunday Assembly online. And she contacted me and said, "There's a poet you've just got to have on. She's absolutely incredible." She's called Melanie Branton, and Louise Spektor's word is good enough for me. So I contacted Melanie, and she's here with us today. So please give a massive welcome for the headgear alone to the wonderful Melanie Branton.
My true love has left me to weep and to mourn. I will go to my grave and will die there forlorn, a maiden as pure as the day she was born. I think I might write a folk song. It's a populist form for the common old Johnny. You can use Scottish words like wee braw and bonny. You can plug any gaps with a hey nonny nonny. Who wouldn't write a folk song? Are you a poacher dispatched to the Tasman coast? Did your sister get jealous and now you are toast? Are you having a torrid affair with a ghost? Perhaps you should write a folk song. If you're in love with a fairy, if you're pale, if you're wan, if you've pined and you've pined till your sanity's gone, if you like AB rhyme and your name is Anon, you should definitely write a folk song. Write something better, I sure would fain. My rhymes are so bad, they're a source of great pain. But give me a break, 'cause it's got a refrain, so it definitely counts as a folk song. Yes, it definitely counts as a folk song. Hello, I'm Melanie Branton, and I am absolutely delighted to be here today with such a warm, welcoming, open minded, intellectually curious, and socially conscious community. Thank you so much, Tony, for inviting me. Music. I love music. I particularly love folk music, but I love lots of other things as well. One thing I really love is being a woman because, apart from anything else, if you're a woman, people are so generous with their unsolicited advice. about everything really, but particularly about dating and food. Don't make yourself cheap. Always let the man do the running. Remember, you're the prize. Cultivate an air of mystery. Men prefer a challenge. If he's attractive, probably means he's abusive. Best stick to the ugly ones. You know they genuinely care. It's not very ladylike. Do you want him to think you're desperate? Do you want him to think you're a tart? No! Why did you phone him? You're always supposed to let the man phone first. Oh, can't you just give him a chance? He really likes you. You'll hurt his feelings. Don't be shallow. Don't be cruel. Don't be picky. You ought to be flattered. You ought to be grateful. At your age, you've got to take what you can get. I'm not going to swallow it any longer. This, you'll get what you're given. Eat up your greens. Don't you know people in Africa are starving life that all women are inducted into? I want the chocolate gâteau, not the bread and butter pudding. I want to have a look at the a la carte menu, and if the dish I want is out of my price range or sold out, fine. I'm not going to force my way into the kitchen and strong arm the chef. I'll just pick something else, but let me choose. I'm no longer going to take the toffee penny because somebody else might want the strawberry cream. I want to lick butter from my fingers, suck the jam out of the donut, eat the pizza topping and leave the crust. I'm going to have Cocoa Pops for my dinner. Eat my pudding before the main course. I don't give a what the UK's chief medical officer recommends. I'm no longer going to be fobbed off with the no added sugar, fat-free alternative. I'm afraid I'm going to be very naughty. I'm not going to eat my vegetables. You can't make me. Please, sir, can I have some more? Yeah, I'm in recovery from anorexia at the moment. So, yeah, I'm acutely aware of the many connections between food and society at the moment. And yeah, one thing in recent years, which has added another interesting element to the mix, is social media. So for my final poem, thank you very much for having me, I am going to do a poem about social media. It's called #horror. I Instagram my pizza. I Instagram my chips. I Instagram each piece of food I stick between my lips. I Instagram each carrot. I Instagram each pea. I Instagram my breakfast and I Instagram my tea. Unless I post a picture of the contents of my plate to Instagram and Twitter, it's as if I never ate. Oh, what a lovely photograph! My dinner looks so yummy. It's made me want to Instagram the inside of my tummy. If I can't upload a photo, I'm afraid I'll be ignored. So I swallow down my iPhone, but first I press record. I Instagram my stomach. My iPhone has its uses. I Instagram things churning in my own digestive juices. I Instagram my pizza. Look, watch it swirl and fizz. Though now it's been so liquidized, you can't tell what it is. I think I've lost my iPhone. It's moving. That's a fact. And now it's going to Instagram my whole digestive tract. I left it on vibrate and now it's quaking like a jelly in a mystery location in the middle of my belly. It will cost more to replace it than I really want to spend. I'll have to hope my iPhone will come out the other end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melanie. That was fabulous. Thank you for those reflections on social media and for the fantastic poetry. Thanks for your lovely words about Sunday Assembly, and there's lots of love coming your way as well.
Oh, thank you.
Ian says that he's going to use the phrase "Hey nonny nonny" a few times today. Mary says it was fantastic. Glenn loved it. We've got awesome Melanie from Gerard. Mary saying here, here, and superb from Judith. Caroline says that was amazing. So to the heart of everything social that is wrong. Absolutely fabulous feedback for you.
Thank you.
So can I just ask you, first of all, Melanie, how important has music been to you in lockdown?
It hasn't. I have to say, because I've been quite ill, which has sucked the joy out of a lot of things and interest out of a lot of things, including music. So I've not listened to music that much, actually. I did, actually, because I'm a huge David Sylvian fan, and every year on David Sylvian's birthday, I literally celebrate that more than Christmas. So I did get a little bit of the Sylvian love around February. Yeah, and I have listened to it a bit. I've listened to Nina Simone. There's a Polish artist I love called Grzegorz Turonow, and I've listened to him a lot. But actually, I've listened to less music than pretty much any other time in my life.
So how about poetry then? As a poet who writes and performs, you were talking about social media there. How's lockdown changed that, and how has social media been a kind of platform for you?
It's been interesting, actually. It's taken me a long time to get into Zoom. I think I did find it, because I have social anxiety, and I actually found at the beginning, I found it was worse on oddly enough in Zoom than it is in real life, because there's nowhere for you to hide. But you know, I think it's one of those things, like all media, you've got to get used to it. And I think what's really exciting is seeing other poets, how some poets have really gone with the media and the things it allows you to do, and really experimented with it in a really interesting way, which I really like.
Has lockdown affected what you write about to a great extent?
A bit, yeah. I mean, I wrote a lot, like everyone did. I wrote a lot about the crisis at the beginning of lockdown, but I think you know, after a while, I think we all sort of ran out of steam with that a bit. Yeah, and obviously it's not helped my mental health problems, so I have written a lot about that. But also, I mean, I've done an awful lot of walking and being sort of in nature and stuff, which I don't normally do nature, but I have, and that sort of process of going out walking and thinking has actually helped poetry in quite a lot of ways.
Thanks. And finally, Melanie, it's because there's so much love and support coming in for your work. Could you tell people how they could get hold of more copies of your wonderful poetry?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've got two collections. The only one I actually did from these was the middle one, which is from this one. But yeah, should I put it in the chat? Actually,
That would be great. Yeah, that would be absolutely
brilliant.
fantastic. Yeah, and thank
you so much. It's been lovely.
Louise, for the recommendation. She was absolutely right. One more time, please, for Melanie Branton.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're talking a lot about lockdown today because the theme is music and I suppose poetry in lockdown. I can now officially say that I've now been double jabbed with the Pfizer, and as a college teacher, I have to test twice a week, and I've got another negative test this morning. So you can all sit quite close to your screens at the moment. But more importantly, there is a kind of feeling at the moment that we might be getting out of this mess, and that maybe we'll be meeting each other, hugging each other, talking to each other face to face again. And from my point of view, and I'm sure a lot of other people who are here today, it means I'll be able to start going to gigs again. Maybe a little bit distanced at first, but I just can't wait for the opportunity. Great though streaming online is, I can't wait for the opportunity to meet up with fellow performers and so on. I got to thinking the last time I actually was at a gig, an actual gig, was at the station in Ashton-under-Lyne. And today's guest was one of the performers on that particular day. And it was I think the second time I'd seen her live, but the first time in quite a while. So it was so wonderful to see her again. I know sometimes when a compere or a host says she's a very good friend of mine, or I'm a very big fan of this person, sometimes you're not quite sure whether to believe it, because it's the kind of cheesy showbiz thing that people would say. So I'd just like to say the two CDs recorded by this particular artist are never far away from my CD player or my car. If you only buy 2 more CDs this year, make sure it's these two. They're absolutely brilliant. And not only that, but I've just taken this off the wall right in front of where my computer is. And it's designed by one of our previous guests, Jess Silk, who's a great singer-songwriter, but also a brilliant artist. And the words on this: if you've air in your lungs, then you must keep singing, because one day gravity wins. And those words are from a song called Let Gravity Win by today's guest. So please give her an absolutely massive Sunday Assembly welcome to Carol Hodge.
Thank you very much. That was a pretty good cheesy showbiz welcome. Very impressed with that. Cheers, Tony. Right, I'm just gonna switch my. I'll tell you a bit about the song first. Actually, I've got a little bit of an industry secret here. I've got a reverb pedal that I press to make my voice sound a bit better online when I sing. So I'm going to play 2 songs for you today. This first one was actually released right at the very start of lockdown last year, and I wrote it about something completely different, but it turned out to be quite kind of prescient. So this is a song which is still applicable today, I think, in the world of just a lot of people suffering from anxiety, myself included, and it's called "Stop Worrying, Baby." Okay, right. Hopefully that's a bit better volume wise. There we go. Right. Get into the car like clockwork, trying not to overthink each turn. And there can only be one destination, and so many routes, so many things to learn. And the last time I got so burned, I still feel the heat around me like a fire. If I've just one life to live, and if I know I'll die alone, then just don't worry, baby, and go and do it all on your own. The sun beats down like another country, but my heart don't know its name. And I'm so used to this separation, I can't remember any other way. And the next time, will it be worth the pain that I go through to make things work? If I've just one life to live, and if I know I'll die alone, then just don't worry, baby, and go and do it all on your own. The acid reflux of my future sits burning in my mouth. The terror of another wasted year, well, it leaves me with no doubt that if I've just one life to live, and if I know I'll die alone, then just don't worry, baby. Yeah, just don't worry, baby. Yeah, just don't worry, baby, and go and do it all on your own.
Thank you so much, Carol. Absolutely fantastic, and good to be reminded during lockdown that we've only got one life to live, and we need to. This ain't a rehearsal. We need to make the most of this one. So, Carol, I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and then we will hear another fantastic song. So, the risk of sounding like a psychiatrist, I want to take you back to your childhood, and I'm just interested in what kind of music was in your house and what you were listening to as a child. How that triggered a love for music for you.
Yeah, well, I grew up I mean, my sort of musical initiation, I came from a very interesting household. My mum's dad was a vicar, and my dad was a complete atheist. So I would go to church on Sundays with my mum and my brother. And that was always the best bit, you know, the hymns, because I loved like singing. And I actually think I learned singing harmony because there was an old lady called Winnie who used to stand behind me in church, and she would always sing the harmony of a third above things. So I think I used to sort of tune into what she was doing and hear how it fitted. And then the other side of it was my dad loved rock music. So there was always, I mean, you know, he had all the LPs. He grew up in the 60s. So there was always like, you know, Beatles, Stones, The Kinks, The Who knocking about. And then the big one was Queen. I remember he had a tape that was Sheer Heart Attack on one side and A Night at the Opera on the other. And I got hold of that tape when I was about 8 years old, and I just played it to death. And there was just something about the music on those albums that just really, you know, sparked something inside me and made me want to be a musician, I think.
And how did that then lead to you wanting to learn a musical instrument, and how did you go about that?
Well, I was again, I think I was about 8 or 9, and my brother came home from a car boot sale with one of those really tiny little Casio keyboards. I had like miniature keys, and at the time, it's probably about like 1990, and you got little cartridges and you put them in, and it would light up the keys, and then you'd sort of like play along with it. So he brought that home and played with it for a few days and got bored of it. And I went and snuck it out of his room and started playing it and loved it. And I think my mum noticed. She was like, "Oh, you've been playing on that for ages. You're getting really good at it." And then I bought myself a book that was the Usborne Guide to basically reading music. So I taught myself to read music out of this book. And then I used to play on the piano at school and at, you know, at church, like at Sunday school, there was one in the hall. And then I just started badgering my mum for keyboard lessons. And because I've got a hand difference, I've only got 2 fingers on my left hand. You know, I just think it was generally expected, like, oh, well, it's not really going to work, is it? But, you know, I was so insistent, and my mum had seen that I taught myself how to read music, and I've been playing on this tiny little keyboard, like, you know, consistently for however many months. So, she relented and let me have keyboard lessons. And that then became piano lessons once my teacher realised I could actually do things with this hand. So, yeah.
Was there an extent to which overcoming that challenge drove you to want to learn the keyboards, or was that not a factor?
Do you know, I never even thought about it. I just wanted to play. And yeah, I think it's, you know, I think I was very fortunate that, you know, my mum didn't say, "Oh, no, you won't be able to do that." And, you know, I found a piano teacher actually who lived on my street who was like, "Yeah, we'll give it a go. We'll try it," you know, and I stayed with her for about 8 years. So, yeah, I think I was never told that's not going to happen or you can't. So that vocabulary wasn't in my head for sure. So.
Some people learn the piano and just play Elton John songs or Rachmaninoff concertos, but what was it that made you motivated to actually start writing songs?
I mean, I think I've always sort of written, you know, bits and bobs. I was always sort of had a bit of a flair for it as a kid. You know, I'd be able to sit down, and once I learned the notes and a few chords, I'd just sort of make things up and play around. I really enjoyed it. And then when I was 15, I got in my first band, and that was a good reason to sort of write songs. And at the time, you know, we started off covering songs by all the sort of like, you know, rock and punk stuff that was a bit alternative at the time, but still quite mainstream, like Green Day, No Doubt, and Nirvana. Bit of Oasis as well. You know, we crossed the genres. We thought we were really sophisticated.
And you still collaborate with other artists now, don't you? I just wonder whether you prefer playing in bands or solo, or whether you get quite a lot out of both.
Yeah, it's 2 very different things. I mean, over the past year or so, I've not really had much choice. I've had to sort of really embrace being a solo artist. But I quite like it. It's definitely a different challenge. And the, you know, the inner monologue changes when you play literally on your own. But yeah, I kind of find playing in bands easier. It's a lot more. I mean, this is fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's more fun. It's less pressure. And especially when I play in other people's bands and I just have to be at a certain place at a certain time and know the songs. It's great.
And a similar question to what I asked Melanie, as a creative person stuck in lockdown, how's it influenced you as a performer, and has it influenced your songwriting?
Yeah, well, the last album I released, Savage Purge, that was pretty well about 90% of songs that I wrote during lockdown. Oh, there you go. You're a very good salesman. Thanks, Tony. Oh, and Jess, thank you. Yeah, so, but I kind of, I come at a lot of things from a slightly, I guess, sort of sardonic or ironic perspective, and I don't like things to be too heavy. So I think, you know, I kind of try to make my albums a bit of a journey. So I think it's important to be honest, and you know, I sing about, you know, mental health issues, and I sing about dark thoughts, and I sing about what's going on in the world, but I also try and see the irony and the cosmic joke in all these situations, and bring a bit of levity to the situation.
We talked about your influences of Queen in that strange mixed religious household you're in. What kind of contemporary artists are you inspired by? Who are you listening to these days?
It always varies. I'm at the moment I'm really into St Vincent. She's like a well, Annie Clark is sort of St Vincent, and it's her band, but she's I think she's kind of like a female 21st century Bowie. And just, you know, anything that has you know, good songs, good lyrics. I'll be honest, the thing that attracts me the most is somebody's voice. So I kind of know within 30 seconds who, if I want to listen to that singer or not. So yeah, a good voice is very important.
Lots of compliments coming in the chat box. Jeff has got the red vinyl version of your album and absolutely loves it. Lisa, who's heard you for the first time today, said she's got goosebumps from your first song. So we talked about doing a gig together at Ashton-under-Lyne. And it's a lady called Pauline Town who runs the station pub, and Joe Solo and Jess and Matt Hill have appeared on our platforms before. But what's your experience of Pauline, and why are you so keen to do gigs to support her work?
I always describe her to people who don't know who she is as I always say, like, oh, you know how people kind of virtue signal, and they you know, they support good causes and they give money to charity. Like, she actually does stuff with it. You know, she doesn't talk about it and she doesn't go on about it. She's in the kitchen making 50 meals for people. She's literally banging on the door of the housing office and trying to get someone somewhere to live. And that's what really struck me about Pauline, is it's not just because often when you do when you support good causes, you kind of miss that direct impact. And I think that's what she does so well. It's like, you know, that if you play a gig or whatever to raise money for Pauline, you know that week your 20 quid or whatever is going to feed a family. Like, there's no sort of middleman, there's no, you know, sort of like nothing else to absorb it. It's just that money goes to the people who need it. And I think that's very refreshing, to be honest.
I agree with that. I think we have the easy bit, don't we? We just like being the centre of attention. We just turn up and sing songs or do poems, and Pauline's doing all the hard work, and yet she is so magnanimous in her appreciation of people who support her and gives the best hugs in the world. So I suspect on the other side of all this, we're likely to meet in the station sometimes. And as I said before, last time I met you in person, I actually requested a song called Bear With Me, and you very kindly performed it as a dedication to me. And it's a song that I absolutely love. And I'm delighted to say I managed to persuade you to sing that song as well today. So just tell us a little bit about the song and then sing it in your own time, Carol.
Yeah, well, this is off my first album, and it's a song about social anxiety, which you know, I'm sure a lot of you can resonate with. And thank you so much, Melanie. I loved your poetry, and I sort of really vibrated with a lot of what you said, and I thought you said it in a really beautiful and a really sincere but funny way, which I think is important to strike that balance. Yeah, and it's a song. I stopped drinking about 2.5 years ago. I stopped drinking alcohol, and one of the reasons was because I would overthink everything, and I would, you know, say stupid things when I was drunk, and then it would just ruin the rest of the week because I'd just be overplaying the scenario in my head that I couldn't quite remember, and just tying myself up in knots about it. So it was one of the reasons I just stopped. Just cut that out of your life. It's one less thing to worry about. You know, why did I say that? You know, how did they react when I went on about that? Did I just railroad that conversation to my own bidding? So yeah, so it's a song about that. I am the death of parties, the full averted gaze, the crossing over of the road, the look the other way. I murder conversations with dull amenities. I redirect all subject matter to the woe is me. I know I act this way. It's killing me a little every day. Bear with me while I try to make a change. I say it doesn't matter. I dig my heels in deep, resolved to rewire faulty brain each night before I sleep. And when you try to help me, I freeze and push away. Distrustful of assistance, solitude's the only way. I know I act this way. It's killing me a little every day. Bear with me while I try to make a change. I know I act this way. It's killing me a little every day. But bear with me while I try to make a change. I watch the normal people, envy the ignorant bliss. I seen behind the curtain and I know I should not exist. I'm tired of my own voice. I ache to start anew. Erase each element of me to create something good. I know I act this way. It's killing me a little every day. I know I act this way, and I don't know what else to say. Bear with me while I try to make a change.
Thank you so much to Carol Hodge. I knew there was a reason why I brought my tissues today, and that was obviously it. And I think it's fair to say we all know a huge debt of gratitude to Winnie, who sang behind you in church and got you interested in music. So just before I let you go, Carol, me and Jess Silk are going to flash your CDs in front of our cameras again. And could you tell, the word beautiful is cropping up, heartbreakingly true, beautifully put, so moving, wonderful. Somebody saying, I won't say the name, but they're in recovery from alcohol addiction, and they really identify with a lot of what you said there. Authentic and beautiful melody. So as we develop another Carol Hodge fan club, I think this is your opportunity to plug your merchandise, Carol.
Oh yeah, I'll put a link to my web. I'll put my link tree, which is like everything, all my social media and everything. And I'll put a link to my website as well, where my shop is. Yeah, I've got a couple of albums. One of them's on vinyl, and I've got a new album that's coming out in a couple of months as well. So you can sign up to my mailing list for free and stuff if you want to stay in touch. It'd be lovely to have you.
It's been wonderful to have you as a guest. Jeff and Tracy saying exactly what I see and what I think, that we can't wait to see you in the real world. So send you lots of love, Carol, and thank you so much for being our guest today. Carol Hodge, everybody.